이렇게 설명해 줄게.
지금 일어나고 있는
Welcome back to horror movies. In a few seconds, you're going to listen to a frightening tale narrated by me. Fear awaits you. Watch out and take care. The movie starts with two high school students who allegedly go missing at the mysterious place called Gonjiam Asylum. It is reported that Gonjiam Asylum is one of the 3 most haunted houses in Korea, and also selected by CNN to be one of the 7 freakiest places on Earth. It opened on May 1961 and was closed on October 1979 after many patients took their own life, and the disappearance of its director. But actually, it was a torturing facility disguised as an asylum, and they were actually murdered by the director. The biggest rumor of this place is about room 402, called the Cursed Room. It is the only locked place of the asylum, and it is rumored that whoever opens the room is sure to die. Then, a YouTube channel called Horror Times would choose this place as their next horror adventure to investigate the truth. On a certain day, the Horror Times crew Sung Wook, Soon Hun and the captain, Ha Jun meet with the selected applicants Ah Yun, Ji Hyun and Charlotte, who will go with them to the asylum. They spend time together and talk about the rumors around the Gonjiam Asylum. The main reason for the adventure was to get a lot of views and in turn make a lot of money. Ha Jun, the captain, even says he aims for 1 million views. On the D-Day, they get to their destination and drive in through the back since there are police watching the asylum to prevent people from entering. They would later pitch a tent and make all the necessary preparations for their investigation. After some time, they all set out to the building, but Ha Jun stays back in the tent to monitor their cams and the live streaming. They head for the entrance to the building, and on their way, they see underwear. Quite strange, as they wonder what could have happened, but they would later tie the underwear to a tree to serve as a mark for them on their way back. They soon get to the entrance leading to the 2nd floor and see some writings on the door which reads "Enter and you will die," but they don't pay much attention. Ha Jun starts to air the adventure and the Gonjiam horror experience begins. As they enter the building, Charlotte makes way to the reception desk to pour some holy water she took from a cathedral. Sung Wook begins to brief the viewers about their move, and suddenly, the door to the director's room shuts behind him by itself. They all get scared and start going towards the room. They get into the director's room and find a group photo of the director with some patients, and some other pictures. After a while, they all split into groups of 2 each to go to the horror spots on the different floors. On the 1st floor, Charlotte and Ji Hyun would see some scary and weird writings on the wall before they later find the laboratory and enter. In the laboratory, Charlotte sees a doll in the cabinet and would later see chicken meat with an awful smell on the floor. On the 3rd floor, Jae Yoon feels that the place is colder than the 2nd floor they left, but soon measures the temperature to be the same. He and Ah Yun would then see the broken ping pong table that has also been rumored about. Ji Hyun and Charlotte, now on the 4th floor, find room 402 where no one has entered since the closure of the hospital. Everyone who has tried to enter failed and are said to have died strange deaths, and now they are here to unravel the mystery around the room. After this, they all then go to the director's room to do the mediumistic ritual for calling out the ghosts. After the ritual, they wait to see what happens next. Soon, the candlelights go off and the small bells tied across the room for the purpose of the ritual start to ring by themselves. They all get scared and run out of the room. Has the real horror begun? Kinda, but not really. That was staged by the Horror Times crew just to gain more views. They go to the laboratory and Charlotte finds out that the doll that was once in the cabinet is now in the lab room. She freaks out when Sung Wook touches it. She is already getting very scared, but the crew seems to be having some fun. However, something would happen in the collective care room that would make everyone shiver in fear. They see some wooden closets which were used for the patients. Ji Hyun puts her hand in the hole of one of the closets only for something unknown to pull her hand as she tries to remove it, leaving wounds on her skin. The closet door then opens by itself and Charlotte's scarf lifts up by itself. They all run out screaming. Meanwhile, Jae Yoon and Ah Yun are on the 4th floor installing the infrared flashes, unaware of what is happening. They suddenly hear the ping pong ball sound, but the EMF meter still does not detect any ghost, so they continue with the installation. Now, on the 1st floor, Charlotte and Ji Hyun discover that the weird writing on the wall which reads "Let's live" now mysteriously reads "Let's die." At this point, they totally lose it and would leave the asylum back to the tent. Ha Jun discovers that the writings changed from the recordings with him, but he deceives Sung Wook and Sung Han that it didn't. He is so concerned about the views they are getting already, as they have now reached about 300,000 views. Ha Jun checks other video recordings and discovers something strange. He sees a strange footage which contains all the 6 people in the building. He wonders who recorded them. As Charlotte and Jihyun head back to the tent, they see the mark they left from when they went in and are relieved that they are on track. They move further only to see the mark again, and then they begin to perceive a familiar awful smell. Charlotte looks down and sees the materials from the laboratory and the chicken meat. She gets more frightened and calls Jihyun, but Jihyun has now turned into a ghost. She runs off to the tent, but as she enters the tent, she suddenly finds herself in a dark room. She sees a ghost there again and finds the same doll from the laboratory on the floor by her feet. She is now so terrified. The ghost would later eliminate her. Meanwhile, Sung-wook and Sung-hun are in the shower room on the 4th floor. As they continue recording the events, they suddenly hear a sound from the supply room and head there. In the supply room, they see a wheelchair move by itself, and as they observe it, they see the cabinet suddenly at the ceiling, which then drops to the floor. Then objects begin to fly at them. An object would knock Sung-wook unconscious. As Sung-hun tries to wake him, the door suddenly opens and something pulls him out of the room. He tries to run back to the door, but it closes and knocks him unconscious too. After a while, he wakes up and runs to Jae-yoon and Ah-yeon, who are already trying to open room 402, and tells them that they should leave. As soon as Ha-joon sees this, he quickly dresses up to go into the building too. The views are now almost at 1 million. Sung-hun, Ah-yeon, and Jae-yoon then hear the ping pong ball sound again, and the ball suddenly hits the wall where they are. The doorknob of room 402 then starts to turn as they begin to hear Charlotte hitting the door from inside, asking for help. But they didn't know that Charlotte had already died. After a while of panicking, room 402 opened and they suddenly find themselves in the room, with no door to escape. A ghost appears and kills them one by one. Meanwhile, as Ha-joon heads towards the building, he sees a strange movement at the window of the 4th floor. He continues into the building, and on getting to that floor, he looks down from that window and sees himself. He gets extremely scared, and then begins to hear the sound of wailing. A ghost soon appears behind him, and eliminates him. Sung-wook regains consciousness and finds himself cuffed to a wheelchair. He then begins to hear strange sounds as the wheelchair moves on its own towards the door. The door suddenly opens and he is thrown out to his death. Back at the tent, on Ha-joon's computer, it appears that the show never went live and they barely even had 500 views. It was all being manipulated the whole time. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.